The alarm bells instantly go off in my head. Hold your horses. What? No, you shut up. What are you doing? Are you trying to sell me? He heaves a sigh. Hey, all you cool creatures. I'm Cryptid. Welcome to the Cryptid Plays YouTube channel. And today we are playing more OBSCURA. This time we are tackling Cirrus's route. He is the priest. I'm excited to get to this one. I think technically he would have been our first choice, but obviously I went all the way down to Oleander's first, so now I'm excited to see what happens in this route. But there are most certainly going to be content warnings that I have to share with you, so I will pull them up. All right. Cirrus actively manipulates the player character and will engage in pushy behavior to get what he wants. An unavoidable non-intimate BDSM scene where Cirrus is a sadist. Abuse of religious authority, power play during a prayer session, use of religious terms in suggestive contexts, consensual or non-consensual drug use, depending on player choice, player character gets trafficked, player character gets murdered by stabbing. There are going to be some very difficult things to go through in this route. If you experience religious trauma, if you have trouble with that sort of thing, viewer discretion is advised, but I understand if you are unable to watch this. However, I am excited to see what the trashy priest is like. Without further ado, let's get started. Alright, instead of staying to see what happens, which we know leads us to Kier, we are going to run to the safety of the church. In my haste to escape the ruckus outside, I scrambled towards the entrance. Then, once I ascertain that they aren't locked, I slip through the imposing massive oak doors. The carvings in the wood press into my palms, a surprisingly comforting, grounding sensation. Then, once the doors close, the change in atmosphere hits me. Wow, it's gorgeous. So is the music. First is the smell, candle smoke, heavy incense, and cold, crumbling stone. Then comes the solemn silence, the kind that reminds you of your place within these holy walls, and the oppressively tall ceiling. I'm finally alone, even for just a little while. I take that moment to release the breath I was holding and take in my surroundings. This is where the inhabitants of the underground come to worship the lunar god. It's also a reminder that I still haven't found any adequate leads for the Ichor. When I take a couple of steps down the carpeted path between the aisles, I suddenly make out a figure behind the altar. They're wearing long robes. A priest, maybe. Excuse me. I call out, taking care not to raise my voice too loud. The person shuffles around, and I see they're masked, too. Well, of course they would be. Even those in service of the lunar god can't afford to take risks here. He is incredibly gorgeous. I'm sure you all know by now, but I unfortunately have a soft spot for characters with white hair. As they approach, I notice the distinct glimmer of a golden brooch, nestled between the folds of their clothes, proof of their holy devotion. Dang, this song is funky, I like it. Their entire appearance is refined and almost ethereal, long, silvery locks of hair cascading down their shoulders, delicate fabrics wrapped over their shoulder, and long, perfectly gloved fingers. A rich, silken voice. It takes me off guard. Do my ears deceive me, or has another fight broken out? By the way, I do follow the creators on social media, and apparently he has a very deep voice, which I will be unable to do. So we're just gonna deal with a voice that I can do, and hopefully it's slightly different than the others. The priest stops a few meters from me, and from here, I notice that their mask doesn't cover their mouth, which is set into a thin, disapproving line. You're right, it's quite the scene outside. I pause. I was hoping I could lay low here for a while. I'm not one for brawls. My star, the church will always be a place of safety for those who need it. Please stay as long as you like. I was taught that all lunar priests call believers their stars, but it still makes me smile. Well, thank you, Father. A twitch of their lips. Cirrus, you need not call me by those stuffy titles. A man's name. I had a feeling. It's likely not his real one, as is the case with most people in the marketplace. But even a fake name can speak volumes about someone's personality. Would you like to light a candle while you're here? Huh. Sure, why not? I follow him towards the back of the church, past the initial altar, and stop in front of the statue. It towers over us, surrounded by row after row of marine blue candles, and the sight takes my breath away. A sea of light. I don't believe I've seen you around these parts before. Is he making small talk? I light a match and watch the flame flicker softly as I bring it to the wick. But I can only answer with vague pleasantries to make sure I don't divulge important information. No, I'm not exactly a traveler on most days. Think I might see the appeal now, though. Is that so? Despite not being able to see his eyes through the mask, I feel them on me. Cirrus makes no effort to follow up on his last comment. and the two of us fall into silence. You're a bit of an unusual priest, aren't you? His lips twitch again, forming into a polite smile. Would you care to elaborate? I'll consider it. We're standing closer now, shoulders only slightly apart as we watch the new flame sway in unison with the rest. There's such a strange comfort to it all. I could linger here for hours, soaking up the atmosphere. What's it like? Being a priest, I mean. Demanding answers of me while not offering up your own. Behind my mask, I suppress a smile at his light prodding. You got me there. Well, I understand your caution. This is by no means a safe environment. But if it's of any comfort, my star, I am bound to the lunar scriptures. It's my job to ensure the visitors here feel safe and cared for. The words roll off his tongue with practiced ease. If only Cryptid could speak like that, but they unfortunately have trouble speaking. Alright, since we are going for a bad ending first, or all of the bad endings first actually, I don't trust him in the slightest, and I don't. But he is pretty, so maybe I have a problem. Anyways, I don't trust him in the slightest. I pick at my nails in slight discomfort, thankfully hidden from view under my long sleeves. He's likely not of the bad sort, but I don't appreciate the pushiness I feel from him. I did a preliminary playthrough of his route to see just how intense some of it gets. I only went for one ending, so I don't know what the others are like. But he kind of is of the bad sort. We'll find that out. He could be worse, I'm sure. It's disconcerting. Okay, if we leave, it will just take us out. We can try it, but I know it'll pass. Let's try I need to leave first, though. I can't describe why, but I don't really want to stay here anymore. I'd feel much better going back out there and picking the trail back up where I left off. There's a whole lot of unexplored areas that are beckoning me. I simply nod at Cirrus, thank him for his time, and turn to leave the church. Before I make it through the doors, he calls out to me. I never caught your name. I smile and decide to, in fact, not give him my name at all. The smell of incense is still stuck to the back of my throat, even as I leave the church. The ruckus that sent me inside in the first place has dissolved, so I'm confident in my ability to wander in relative safety, at least. I follow a moment's impulse and fluff out my cloak, trying to shake off the sweet, smoky scent from the church. Cool air rushes in and wakes up my body. It doesn't do much for the smell, but I do feel slightly refreshed. Let's keep exploring. There are passages I have yet to go through, and I'm certain that the marketplace has yet more wonders to reveal. I don't think for a second that I'll find lunar ichor, but there's no harm in knowing the extent of the marketplace. That said, I don't think I'm going to find much here. The businesses here serve much more basic purposes. Tailors and cobblers and half a dozen stalls selling basic masks. My own, though hardly the most ornate, is probably out of place here still. On nothing more than a whim, I turn and look down a narrow alleyway between a home and some kind of food service. I guess we can meet here this way. I can see two people hurrying down the alleyway. After a second, I see them duck behind a stack of wooden crates. They don't emerge again. This is probably a bad idea. I walk down the alleyway slowly, waiting for someone to burst out and tell me I'm in the wrong place. No one does. I listen carefully, but hear nothing. Your curiosity is going to get you in trouble, cryptid. Leaning forward as little as possible, I peer around the crates. Nothing. For some reason, I feel relieved. This is silly. I should get out of here. And then I see it, behind a heap of shattered wood that used to be a crate. There's a narrow tunnel. The walls here are full of tunnels and passages, many of which are dead ends. I've seen tunnels leaving caverns from impossible positions, many meters above what anyone could reach. This is probably one of those, we say, even though we saw two people come down this way. And then again, they had to have gone in here, right? Wait, what am I doing? I'm following strangers for no good reason in a wildly dangerous environment. This is exactly the kind of thing I shouldn't be doing. I kind of want to see how this plays out. But I don't move away. What am I doing? I'm desperately curious to see what's through that tunnel. And it's not like I expect to leave the marketplace alive anyways. Why not? It's a stupid risk, but my mood is nothing but fatalism and potent curiosity. Might as well. I climb over the shattered crate and drop to my hands and knees, crawling through the tunnel. Okay, so now we're gonna go back, because this is gonna go down the same route as Kier's in general. There might be some extra dialogue right here, but I think we got the gist of it. So let's go back to Cirrus. Alright, here we are with him again. Our bad feeling will pass. Maybe I'm just on high alert. The marketplace hasn't given me much of a break. I want to trust my gut feeling, but the truth is that I'm tired, demotivated, and likely a little hungry. So the gut cannot be trusted. I'm sorry, of course you don't have to answer. You know better than anyone else how important anonymity is down here. Indeed. He sounds a little saddened, but I don't understand why. That being said, sometimes it is our dedication to remaining a stranger that is our downfall in the end. Huh. I don't really understand what he means by that, so I dismiss it as a priest's philosophical ramblings. But I think I ought to be heading back soon. Errands won't run themselves. Good luck with that, my star. What can I call you next time we meet? Next time, huh? Cryptid. Cirrus repeats it, testing the pronunciation. Then a smile spreads across his lips. It suits you. Thanks, I chose it myself. Oh yeah, okay. Thanks, picked it myself. In spite of playing through a little bit of this route, I don't remember any of the dialogue, so hell yeah. Quite the mouthy one, aren't you? It's part of my endless charm. That it is. We bid each other a polite farewell, and before I know it, I'm alone in the streets again. I trudge through the marketplace stalls, sweeping over any new available content, as I have every single day since coming down here. Murky-colored crystals, vials filled with shimmering liquids, rare animal leathers, but nothing even remotely resembling the ichor catches my eye. The serenity that filled me at the church is instantly quashed. Instead, all I feel is dread. I've already been over this. Would Cirrus know anything? It's worth asking, and it's the perfect excuse to head back to the church tomorrow. Until then, I keep walking, because that's all I can do to keep myself busy. At night, I toss and turn. Not even the inn's freshly cleaned sheets do anything to soothe my restlessness. Before I know it, it's the next day, and I've barely gotten a wink of sleep. Bruna stops by for the usual breakfast chatter, but my mind is elsewhere. All I want is answers. Eventually, I'm back at the doors of the lunar church. Something about them beckons me. A deep magnetism that draws me straight through the entrance without a second thought. There's a different incense wafting around today. It tickles my nose with notes of mahogany and velvet. I expect to see Cirrus in the same spot as yesterday, but find him further in this time, with an unmasked woman kneeling before him. It takes me a moment to understand what's happening. The priest doesn't say a word. His stature is imposing and almost regal, practically towering over the other person. Completely different from yesterday. I can't really make out what he's saying, but she doesn't move, and eventually his hand finds its way to the top of her head. Perhaps he's blessing her? I wonder why the atmosphere is so heavy in here. I decide to hang back. It's not my place to interrupt whatever ritual may be going on. My eyes rove over the decor instead, specifically the paintings and the detailed scenes they depict. Massive oils on canvas, crackling with age at the edges. The larger one shows the two gods at opposing ends, dancing around the earth in harmony. Their arms reach out for one another as their endless rotations continue on until the collapse of the universe itself, unable to ever reunite. It's a little sad. Cryptid. I didn't notice him approach. Cirrus's tone is warm and comforting, and the smile right under his mask peeks out as usual. It's as though the ceremony from earlier never even happened. Hey, I'm back. Didn't want to disturb you back there. Back there. Oh. He tilts his head, lips stretching into a mysterious smile. He is really cute. Look at that smile. Did I make you curious by any chance? About the ceremony? Yes. We're gonna say not really, but I think yeah is technically the right choice, I assume. I just really didn't want to get in the way. That's a shame. His smile falters, only for a second. Either way, I'm sure you didn't come here just to spy on me and the paintings. His comment makes me smile. Maybe I did. If I could see his eyebrows, the tone of his voice suggests that they'd be raised right now. I guess you're right, though. I'm in need of advice. A pause. My star, nothing pleases me more than knowing you feel comfortable enough to come here for help. Cirrus blah blah blah. Cirrus comes closer, and for the first time, I take notice of his height compared to mine. He's got to be at least a full head taller. What can I do for you? I hesitate, unsure if he should really be trusted or not. I'm looking for something. Lunar ichor, to be specific. Something in his demeanor shifts when he hears this. You're sure? Quite sure. That's quite the task. What do you need such a precious resource for? Nosy old... Oh, I see. Fractomanima. I thought that illness had very well vanished from this world. His words startle me as I instantly stare up at his face, hoping to catch a glimpse of his eyes through the holeless mask. The only better way to ascertain if he's telling the truth, if he actually knows what he's talking about. But I see nothing, of course, only the intricate embossing in the metal surface. He knows the name of my illness. Wasn't expecting that. How do you? I've encountered it before, though it remains exceedingly rare. You know, I wonder how old he is, since we were gonna think of him as a nosy old something, 'cause he looks fairly young. As is the cure, of course. I assume you've asked around and seen for yourself. The weight of the situation returns to me as my chest feels like it's being crushed. I know. I feel him placing his hand on my head to give it a gentle pat, a compassionate gesture. My star, What if I told you there might be another way? Under the privacy of my mask, my eyes go wide. Impossible. I wouldn't be so sure. The lunar god is a benevolent, wondrous being. Goosebumps erupt all over my skin, and my heart leaps into my throat. It's too good to be true. It has to be. There's no way he could have the answers right here. I can't stop staring at him, waiting for him to elaborate. His voice drops an octave. You're shivering. Time around us seems to come to a standstill. I don't have the cure here, not yet, but I want to help you. I see how brightly you shine and how much you want to overcome this. I could never turn a blind eye to that kind of hunger for life. Will you let me help you, cryptid? Wow, we can only respond one way. Yes, yes, or yes, so I guess. I can't accept yes. Is that even a question? Refusing would be utterly idiotic of me. Thank you. The words spill from my mouth before I can even think twice. I'm in disbelief. There has to be a catch here somewhere. I need to know the details. But he's been so kind to me. I have a hard time doubting the validity of his claims. Cirrus readjusts his gloves with a practiced movement. I'll need a bit of time. Getting a hold of this substance is no easy feat. The disappointment in his tone is obvious, and I believe him. Even for someone with more influence, there's bound to be obstacles in the way. How will you get a hold of it then? Have you heard of the lunar god's healing prowess, my star? He turns to face the giant statue surrounded by the candles and motions for me to follow. I have. And how much do you know about it? As we both come to a halt, heads tilted up to get a full view of the statue and its surroundings, I respond with silence. Long ago, it was said that priests were able to receive a sample of the blood that flows in these higher beings' veins to save their people. That is the ichor that we know of today. Pure, concentrated life force infused with their powers. In this case, healing powers. But there is no reliable way to get a hold of it these days. I hold my breath. That being said, this blood had once been taken and thoroughly analyzed by a man who then went into hiding. Rumor goes that he left all of his notes behind after passing away. A gasp leaves my lips. You're saying we could find these notes and replicate the composition of real lunar ichor? That frickin' smile, it's gonna get me every time. Precisely. My mind goes into overdrive. How could this be the first time I've heard of it? Where do you know all this from? Cirrus smiles wide. This man went by the name of Nexus, and he was a fellow priest from this very church. This has to be too good to be true. It's just not possible. How? Please rein in your expectations, Cryptid. As he uses my name, the timbre of his voice turns serious once more. I did not know him well. Few people did. He was a reserved person, with not much to his name. Finding his residence, or wherever he may have hidden his secrets, is bound to be a difficult task, and I'll need all the help I can get. And even once we find these notes, there is no guarantee we'll be able to replicate it with the information we have, nor that someone will do it. The knot returns to my throat, but I have more to cling on to than when I first arrived. Better to try than do nothing at all. Indeed. Something grabs hold of me, determination unlike any I've ever felt before, hope soothing my heart. Even if, just for a little bit, I can't quite let my guard down fully, but this is a first step. Eventually, we fall into silence as we stare back up at the statue. Just checking, but it's not as easy as just saying pretty please and then having the ichor appear before us. He chuckles. Unlikely, but if you'd like to offer a prayer, that will always be encouraged. I contemplate the idea. We're gonna go with I'd prefer not to because it is easier to get to the other bad endings when choosing this one, as far as I can tell. I think I'll pass. I'd rather start looking right away. I'm feeling antsy. Are you sure? It really might not be such a bad idea. Huh? Doubt instantly settles deep in my gut. You never know how the small things might alter your chances of survival, my star. We are going to stick with our choice. I don't want to. I strongly recommend you reconsider. I don't want to. Fine. You're awfully insistent. I apologize, Cryptid, but your safety is very important. Then let's be quick about it. His shadowy mask turns my way, lips set into a neutral line. On your knees. Yes, sir. The usual warmth of his voice is completely stripped from his command, and I very quickly realize that this must be the mindset he was in earlier, when he helped cleanse the other woman. For now, I obey. Shoulders straight, hands together. The words are efficient and utterly no nonsense. It's easy to tell he's done this a million times. Chin up, cryptid. Chin up, cryptid. Do not hide your face from the lunar god. Expose your emotions. I think that this one might play into his affection points, but I'm not entirely sure. So the worst ones, of course, are vulnerable and annoyed. So I'll get both. Vulnerable, very naked and very powerless in front of this higher being. It's almost a tad embarrassing. I don't recall ever feeling like this while praying, but maybe it's because of the position, or because Cirrus is behind me giving me these orders. The only thing keeping me somewhat comfortable is my mask. You're almost there. Simply repeat after me, my star. I don't know if he puts his hands together as well. I don't dare look back, but he begins a short prayer, speaking solemnly and clearly. And I will go back and get the annoyed choice now. Annoyed. A bit uncomfortable. I don't necessarily like taking orders. I think it might show in my body language, because Cirrus grows somewhat quiet. He gives me a moment to adjust. You're almost there. Simply repeat after me, my star. I don't know if he puts his hands together as well. I don't dare look back. But he begins a short prayer, speaking solemnly and clearly. I repeat the words after him, again and again. We fall into a trance, and with that I hope my pleas reach the moon. Finally, it's over. I take a moment to regain awareness of my surroundings and raise my head. You did very good. I'm certain your prayers will be heard. He smiles patiently as I rise up from my kneeling position and stretch out. I hope so. Try to believe in yourself a little more. No such pleas could fall on deaf ears. I've got my doubts about that. But still, I appreciate your guidance. I'm about to ask if this is how the prayers usually go, when the echo of the doors creaking resonates throughout the church. New visitors begin filtering in, and the spell is broken. My inner clock tells me it's time to head back. Thank you for today. I'll come back tomorrow so we can start searching. By all means do. I'll do my utmost to find any leads and let you know if there's anything to work with. We share a quiet smile. Get home safe, cryptid. I leave the church and step outside, right back into the darkness. On my way back to the Leaping Bear, I stop at a food stall for some hearty potato soup and allow myself to take a bit of time to relax. I don't think I'll ever truly get used to not seeing the sun, but I'm starting to warm up to the underground as a whole. Halfway through another sip, I think back on what happened at the church. I don't understand why he was so insistent. The strange gut feeling never leaves me. Fanatical priests aren't unheard of, and there's a fair share who would do anything to spread the word of their religion. But Cirrus never struck me as that kind of priest. So why now? Either way, I need to come to terms with what happened. And I'm going to go back and get the other choice of I hated every second of it. I hated every second of it. His pushiness still leaves a bitter aftertaste, lingering in the back of my mouth. I should have walked right out of those doors. My fists curl tighter around the spoon in frustration. Frustration because Cirrus remains my only lead and hope in finding Lunar Ichor. Shit. Either way, I need to come to terms with what happened. I have to work hard while I'm here. After loitering around for just a bit longer, I pay for my soup and begin my long detour back. Passing through the marketplace so many times means that I've started becoming a familiar face, and that in turn I recognize some of the owners. Still looking? Unfortunately, yes. I'll keep my eyes peeled for ya. The owner of the bookstall nods in my direction, and I know without a doubt he will. Like many others setting up shop here, he can be a treasure trove of rumors and information. Say, could I ask you something? Depends on what it is. Have you heard of a priest going by the name of Nexus? The shopkeeper falls silent in thought and drums his fingers on the surface of the wooden display table. Can't say I have. Why? Heard he passed. I keep my intentions vague, and if he notices, he doesn't press it. Not exactly an uncommon occurrence around these parts. Thanks anyway. Today's search is unsuccessful yet again, but I don't let it bother me. After all, I have Cirrus's lead. Just as I'm about to turn back towards the inn, I narrowly dodge, bumping square into someone's chest. It's Francesco! Oh. I bow my head in apology, but the stranger fumbles back, distraught. Oh, no. Oh dear. I hope I didn't startle you. All good here, are you okay? Please don't worry about me. I should be apologizing instead. I'm not sure how I feel about the sudden outburst. When I take in their appearance, I instantly know it's one of the noble sons from the surface. His skin sports a rich, sun-kissed glow that almost makes me envious. The high quality of the suit's fabric, And the elaborate pieces of jewelry don't lie either. They're selected with obvious care and attention to the outfit as a whole. Even the mask is perfectly coordinated with the rest of his suit. Oh, that's not necessary. I'm fine. Look. I hold up my hands to show no harm was done. Oh, I sure am glad. I hope we'll meet again, if you don't mind me saying. You are a very kind person. The person takes my hand and brings their lips to it. An old-fashioned custom at this point. I'm surprised to see anybody still doing such a thing. Alright. I don't think this one has anything to do with the route, but we'll retract our hand first and then we'll thank him. Out of habit, I pull my hand back. Uncomfortable. Excuse me. Oh, no. I'm very sorry. I should have asked. At first glance, he is an easily frightened sort. I'm not sure how much of that is genuine. Please take care and allow me to make this up to you someday. He's so cute. I love Francesco. He brings me all the joy. Alright, now I'm gonna go thank him just because he's so cute. Thank the person. Oh, there really is no need for this, but thank you. My pleasure. He's so cute. I miss him already. The person quickly excuses themselves, and I'm left baffled. The underground is truly a strange place. It's a testament to how many different people congregate down here. But you never really know who you're talking to after all. It's true. Unfortunately. I shake the thoughts from my head and finally find my way back to my room, where my bed welcomes me after a strange day out. It's funny how familiar this inn room has become, too. Even seeing Rufus's face and his bloodied weapon every day has become something of a comfort. I'm sure that eventually the church will feel the same way. That same church is empty the next day I step inside. There's nothing but the echoes of my own calls for Cirrus and the flicker of the candles around the statue. For a while, I simply wait in front of the altar. 5 minutes turn into 10, which turn into 20. At this point, I'm pacing around the candles, wondering where he is. Didn't he say he might have some information today? Curiosity and boredom take me to the back of the church, where I've seen ornate doorways lead to who knows where. Maybe they're his chambers? That's when I hear it. The muffled shouts. The left door is slightly ajar, and as I peek past it, as discreetly as I can muster, I finally catch a glimpse of Cirrus. And he's not alone. There's a strained tension in the air, one far more prominent than yesterday, and it dawns upon me as I lean further against the wall that he is genuinely angry. Yeah, look at that expression. The usually smooth, silken tone of his voice is raised towards the person in front of him. I don't know who it is, but they have their hands raised defensively and their words come out with much difficulty. Do better, I promise. Please, just give me time. That is not good enough. The venomous hiss makes me jump. I never expected to hear this kind of anger coming from a priest of all people, on holy ground no less. I can't speed up the process. Not anymore. They'll be on to me. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Show me that you're sorry. A shiver runs down my spine. What is happening right now? Cirrus expectantly hands the person in front of him something that gleams in the candlelight, pale and deathly. It's a blade. My body immediately tenses at the sight, and my heartbeat skyrockets. I have to do something. Is it even safe to interfere? Shit, what do I do? Oh. Ah. Actually, I think the choice is walk away for this ending. So we walk away. No. This is crazy. I can't be seen here. I'm going to pretend I never saw anything. That's the only thing that can save me at this point. Morals be damned. I quietly shuffle my way back to the main hall, and once I'm past the altar, I bolt. Through the church doors back into the anonymous safety of the crowd, I run until my lungs are on fire and I start feeling numb. I decide to duck into a less crowded alley and lean against the murky wall for support. I'm exhausted, definitely a bit out of shape, but most of all, shaken to the core. I can't believe that was Cirrus. Who was he threatening, and why? Of course he couldn't be trusted. I should have known. My gut feeling was right after all. Though I feel tears of frustration prickle at my eyes, I will them away with a shake of the head and close my fists, concentrating on my breathing. Maybe there's another way to go about this. What do I do now? Okay, so this goes with two bad endings right here. So we'll find another way to get a hold of the I-Core first. It's been made abundantly clear to me that people just cannot be trusted here. All that's left is for me to rely on myself. I'm the only one I can trust down here in this God-forsaken place. And that's okay. I don't need anybody. I collect myself, dust my robes off, and start walking again. I'll keep checking in on the shops every day, as long as I have to, until I find it. Days trickle by. I have an aim, but it seems like, despite the ever-changing layout of the market, I can't find anything. The soles of my shoes wear down from the constant walking. My coin pouch feels lighter by the day. It won't be long until I can't even afford to stay at the inn anymore. But never once do I return to the church. I'd rather rot out here in the streets than rely on some corrupt priest's help. At least if I die down here, it'll be with dignity. My search continues. I'm growing desperate. I can feel something gnawing at the back of my mind, demanding freedom. It claws at my conscience, unrelenting, but I have nothing to silence it. It's pure willpower that keeps me on my feet now, every single day. Eventually, my funds run out. Fearing Rufus's bat, I hand my key to the bare-masked caretaker, who observes me with poorly disguised pity when she sees the state I'm in. Nothing. I shake my head. When I step out of the inn for the last time, my common sense tells me to head back up to the light, where I belong, to bask in the sun and let its rays wash away my worries. But I can't do that. I'm running out of time. So I stay. I walk every day and sit at the edge of the busy streets, silently begging for some cash to feed myself with. I feel my physical self weakening, but my resolve never does. It's a horrible way to live, but at least here I'll have a better chance of finding the ichor, and so I keep walking. Bad end. Your search led you nowhere. Let's go get that other bad end then. Alright. Continue cooperating with Cirrus. It's okay. I'll just return tomorrow or the day after. He'll never know I saw anything. I only need to stick with him for this information. I head back to the inn, distraught, and contemplate my next interaction with Cirrus. I have no idea how it'll go. I don't have to wait long to find out, of course. When I'm back the next day, he questions where I was, and I lie about feeling unwell. I don't care if he truly believes me or not. Maybe he knows I saw something, as long as he doesn't acknowledge it and gives me the information. That's all that matters to me. So, did you find anything about where Nexus left his things behind? I'm sorry, my star. Not yet. He pauses, then smiles. You'll have to give me just a little bit more time. Okay, I trust you. I have to force myself to say that last part. Cirrus tilts his head to the side. Do you really? Cryptid. My throat feels tight. I do. It feels like the biggest lie I've ever told. And that night, once again, I'm struck with nerve-wracking insomnia that leaves me in a cold sweat the next morning. There's a surprise waiting for me when I arrive the day after, awaiting answers from the priest. Another person stands beside him, muscular and expensively clothed. They seem to be in deep conversation until they notice me, and Cirrus beckons me closer. My star, this is Ark. Ark, please meet Cryptid. He's a promising candidate. As I just mentioned. Wait, for what? What am I a candidate for? Ark assesses me quickly, then turns back to the priest. Are you, like, selling me to someone? How much? You are, oh, you bastard. The alarm bells instantly go off in my head. Hold your horses. What? No, you shut up. What are you doing? Are you trying to sell me? He heaves a sigh. If you'd let me finish. No, he's not for sale. Instead, he will come work for you, and I trust you'll pay him a livable wage. Certainly. They're talking about me as if I weren't right in front of them. Hey! I'm pretty sure I have a say in whether I want to work or not. This is the only way you'll be able to get the lunar ichor. His words hit me hard, though I find it difficult to believe him. He speaks the truth. If you're successful, you'll be overflowing with coin. What does the job entail? Cirrus smiles, but he doesn't answer me. That same smile stays on his face when he sees me off, as Ark forcefully drags me by the arm and into some shady side street. He doesn't let go of me until I'm tossed into a small room, one of many in a long corridor, and he tells me to freshen up. The way the room is furnished tells me all I need to know. Chains neatly coiled in the corner, suspension points expertly attached to the ceiling, vials of lotions lined up on the wall right next to the bed. There's boxes of rope, oddly shaped toys, and all kinds of horrifying magical implements crammed into every corner, including the tiny bathroom off to the side, where I'm expected to make myself as presentable as possible. Oh my god, Cirrus, you are a trash priest. You have 10 minutes. How could he sell us to this? That's bullcrap. Take any longer and you'll have more than a few bruises to worry about. I take a deep breath. Then I swallow my pride. Every single bit of it. Because even if it means I'll live in the worst conditions for a while, at least I'll still have hope. Bad end. Cirrus grew bored of you. Well, this kind of tells us what sort of person he is, so... oh boy. Anyhow, let's get the other endings. I think there's 2 more bad endings than a good ending. So let's go. Alright, so we've gotten 2 endings, and I think I can get the third one, but then the other ones are going to require some affection points. Of course, the best one requires the most affection points as far as I know. And yes, I have my history up because I'm right at the spot where we can, like, confront him or walk away. Let's see what happens, I guess. I accidentally let it time out, and I don't think that matters either, so I guess we'll see. I can't move. I'm too paralyzed by the sight in front of me. How could this be happening? The person now wielding the knife holds it in their hands as they would a precious jewel, then looks up at Cirrus. Their voice trembles. Right here? No, you're right. In front of the statue would be a more fitting setting for this. Rick! Shall we? Yes, by all means. In my panic, I try to shuffle back noiselessly, but one of my steps nearly fumbles, allowing the clacking sound to echo freely between the walls. Oh no, he is mad. Who's there? Is it too late to run? Would they find... Just as I am about to make a run for it, a hand clutches onto the fabric of my robe. Hard. Oh no. Never seen the person before. No matter how much I struggle, there's no time. In just a few seconds, I'm face to face with Cirrus himself. If I didn't know better, I'd say he's stunned to see me. He nods once in the other person's direction, who proceeds to drag me through the doorway and unceremoniously toss me into the room. Oh boy, we're in trouble. Cryptid. Cirrus's voice turns back to the warm, comforting one I've always heard. But right now, I don't know if I trust it. Understandably. You shouldn't be here, my star. I'm simply taking care of some sensitive matters. You have to understand. Sensitive matters? Really? You gave him a knife. One that he was going to use on himself. On himself. He pauses. I think you have the wrong idea. What I gave him was not a weapon, but a ritual dagger. One used in elaborate dances and rituals of repentance. I'm left utterly speechless. I stare at Cirrus, then back at the trembling person. When I ask them if it's true, they nod. I think I should leave. I think you're staying right where you are. When I gaze back up at the priest, he's smiling in a way that gives me chills. Leave for now. We'll continue this later. He dismisses the shivering person without so much as a glance in their direction. They immediately obey and scuttle off. Then the door shuts behind us, and when I ask why Cirrus is locking it, he gives me no answer. He tucks the key away in a pocket, and with that, there's no way out. When I refuse to look up at him, his fingers grasp my chin with surprising strength and force me to meet his masked gaze. Do you make it a habit of snooping around and eavesdropping like this? Usually I don't have to. But then I heard shouting. You poor thing. His smile twists cruelly. I did keep you waiting for quite a while. Did you miss me? I'm not sure what's making my heart race faster right now, the adrenaline or the fact that he's so close. No matter. I'm going to teach you some manners. Listening in on important conversations is very, very naughty. He steps even closer, completely suffocating me with his presence. That evil smile! He has fangs. I love it. Have you ever been punished before, my star? What? Punishment? Yes. I'll think of something adequate for a little eavesdropper like you. Of course, since it is your first infraction, I'll go easy on you, but penance is of utmost importance down here, and I think you'd best keep that soul of yours unblemished. No, I don't understand, and I don't think I want to. Give me the key, Cirrus. I want to leave. Hush, little star. As much as I enjoy the sound of your voice, you really do talk too much. He takes a step back, finally allowing me a bit of personal space. Then he immediately turns around and makes his way to one of the minimalist wooden shelves in the corner of his room. There's barely anything in here, save for sleeping arrangements and some storage. His shelves, on the other hand, are crammed full of jewelry, books, and small, neatly labeled vials. It's the vials he's aiming for, as a long digit reaches out to brush over one of their corks. I'm wary of his every move, as we should be. And when Cirrus is back in front of me, two of the mysterious vials in hand, I tense up. I'm aware the situation may have you a little on edge, but I need you to trust that this is for your own good. I don't, because I've not consented to any of this. His expression falls, and in that moment, I wish I could see his eyes. What would I find if I looked deep within? But the more I think about it, the less I understand. Please. For the first time, I hear him beg me. It's a completely alien feeling. What do you have there? I try my hardest to keep my voice neutral as I ask. Cirrus pops one of the vials open, releasing a sudden waft of a strong, honey-like aroma, cloyingly sweet, almost coating the back of my throat from the smell alone. I think we're staring at each other now. The intensity of it makes my hair stand on end. I'm not gonna lie, this makes me intensely uncomfortable. Raise your mask and open your mouth. No, I'm not going to obey. I think this is the last choice that would give us any relationship points, but I'm on my way to the bad ending anyways, so don't. No fucking way. You know, I think I would punch this man for doing this personally. When he sees I offer no further answers, his fingers grasp my face and tear the lower segment of my mask off. The hinges and ruined remnants of it lie forgotten on the floor as I stumble back. Before I know it, my lips are pried open with strong but controlled force. Guess we do try to bite. When I try to bite down, the vial is jammed carelessly between my teeth, allowing the liquid inside to pool over my tongue. The glass is solid enough to stop my bite, but I'm left with pain blooming in my whole mouth, and a few tiny shards of glass resting on my tongue, almost as a warning. We better not swallow, that would be bad. The nectar is just as thick as the initial smell, but now that it runs over my taste buds, I'm overwhelmed by the flowery, syrupy taste. I feel it sticking to my lips like a glaze, and when he continues pouring, it trickles down my chin. It doesn't taste bad, but something feels off. As the liquid settles in my stomach, I feel strangely aware. I hope we didn't swallow glass shards, because that could kill you technically. You know, if it tears your intestines. Aware of everything. The way my nails scrape over the skin of my palm, the way my chest expands with every new breath, the fragrance of the incense and how it clouds my mind. I promise you it's just temporary. He speaks in a soothing, measured way. What's temporary? Cirrus's hand rests on my shoulder, and while I feel every single digit through the cloth, the sensation of him trailing those fingers down the length of my arm should just elicit a small shiver. Instead, it feels like a sharp, cold wave that borders on actual pain, taking me entirely off guard. My breath catches in my throat, and even that feels like an overload of sensation, like claws digging around in my lungs. There's an affection. There's an affection lingering under the cruel curve of his lips, and it takes everything in my power to not make any sudden moves. Now, the sooner you complete your task, the better. You'll see. It's not too difficult, and the lunar god will be so very pleased with you. He's taking his time, walking in slow circles around me, observing me. You're going to do so wonderfully. I notice amidst my panic that the second vial in his hand contains uncooked rice. But why? His thumb pries the cork off the top, and with a tilt of the wrist, he empties the contents of the vial, showering the wooden floors in tiny, pale rains. I hate that I feel afraid to ask what it's for. Knees, he whispers, and I know it's not an order I can defy. But the moment my knees reach the floor, the rice digs into my skin, and I instantly understand. My legs feel like they're on fire. The individual grains push further into my knees, and with a muffled curse, I try adjusting my position. What the hell is this? Just as I shift to look up, the sight of Cirrus holding an actual leather flogger makes me release a strangled sound I didn't know I was capable of making. No. Easy there. Easy. You're going to do it yourself, so it won't be so bad. After all, you're the one who must repent. I take a deep, careful breath. What if I refuse? Cirrus chuckles, but it's devoid of warmth. Then I suppose I'll have to take matters into my own hands. Can't have my little star ruining his chances. Well, hell, let's do it ourselves. Maybe in the good endings I'll have Cirrus do it himself, because I'm pretty sure we still end up going through punishment in the good endings. Okay. I just have to get this out of the way as fast as possible. And there is not a chance that I'm allowing him to do it. If the thought weren't more painful than what I'm about to go through, I would vomit all over this damned floor. Just give me your torture instrument or whatever. Oh. Well. He is ominous. I reach up for Cirrus's flogger, instantly feeling the weight of it in my hand. It's real black leather, braided around the handle for grip, extending into a dozen thin tails. Even just feeling it brush against my fingertips makes me shiver. The effects of the nectar have fully settled in at this point. How about you start with 10? Doesn't matter where, as long as you can use your strength as normal. He pauses, but don't hit any organs. The back is a relatively safe spot to start. Funny that you're thinking about safety right now. Cirrus's masked expression tells me everything I need to know. His patience is running dry, but it's the only thing keeping me sane while I contemplate the idea of inflicting immense pain on my own self. I'm dragging the time out. Surely it won't be so bad. I just have to muster up the courage. As soon as my palm stops shaking, with a decisive grip, I moved the flogger into position in front of myself, and then I fling it over my shoulder for the tails to reach a spot on my upper back. Ah! The sudden onslaught of pain makes me gasp, and I instantly drop the tool to steel myself and control my breathing. The impact lingers for a while, rippling over the skin in burning, painful waves. Shh. Don't swear before our God. Cirrus instantly chastises me before I can say more, and watches me from above with poorly concealed glee. Oh my god, he is a true sadist. That's one. Only 9 more to go. It takes everything to even pick the flogger back up with how that hit affected me. But I can't stop now. I go for another hit, willing it to land a little lower than earlier. When it doesn't and the lashings hit the previous spot, I double over again, whimpering into my cloak. I already feel myself breaking into a cold, clammy sweat. Oh dear. His grin is nothing short of sadistic. That must have hurt, you poor thing. I don't even know if I can do all 10 without passing out at this rate. Waiting until the pain ebbs away before going for the next hit takes progressively longer, and every time I can feel the priest's impatience growing. He's encouraging me to keep going. I can't. Yes, you can. The pain is all in your head, little star. It's all for the greater good. The pain will cleanse you ever so deeply. from head to toe. I promise you're going to feel so much better afterwards. You'll feel so good. That's a little creepy. His voice is sickeningly sweet, staining my mind with hypnotic suggestions that leave me dizzy. Ugh. I brace myself for another self-inflicted hit, and this time I collapse, breath ragged. I can see my hands shaking in front of me, despite my blurring vision. It doesn't take long for me to realize it's tears. Harder. I know you can go just a little harder for me. Come now. His tongue sweeps across his lips to wet them, and in that moment I think that he doesn't look nor sound like a priest. But I keep that to myself as I raise my hand for the final time, and when the impact lands between my shoulder blades, I succumb to the darkness. My senses numb, finally. It's the sweetest release, so good I could keep crying. And then I pass out. By the time I come to, I'm surrounded by the smell of cotton and feel something warm and soft on my arm. It's just the right lukewarm temperature, something like a damp cloth gently dabbing away the sweat and grime on my skin. I keep my eyes closed, fearing it might stop if I happen to open my eyes. The cloth is removed and I hear the sound of water dripping. When the sensation returns to my other arm, I almost exhale in relief. It feels so comforting that I'm tempted to drift off again. It's when the cloth runs up the side of my neck that my breath hitches. Are you awake, little star? Darn. I decide not to respond. His thumb crawls up to rest over the edge of my ear, and with a deliberately slow, ghostly touch, he runs it around the shell until he reaches the lobe and gives it a pinch that makes something inside me tingle. Your body is betraying you. Open your eyes, cryptid. Talk about playing dirty. I shift on the mattress underneath me. Do all priests make it a habit to fondle their visitors during their sleep? Mouthy from the moment you wake, I see. I bite back a response and take a moment to reassess my situation. The effects of the syrup have long since worn off, though I'm left with a little sensitivity sparking up here and there. Do you want some water? His sudden kindness surprises me this time, and I nod in response. I hadn't realized how parched I really am. Wait here. Cirrus quickly makes his way out of the room, leaving me alone and disoriented. I need time to organize my thoughts. About that punishment, for example. After all, I now know for certain what kind of person Cirrus is. I need to deal with this to get the ichor. I don't have a choice in this. It's a disgusting situation I found myself in, and there's no chance of wiggling myself out of it now. Not when it's my only lead. I don't care what I have to go through as long as I make it out alive and fractum free by the end of it. This mad priest won't break me, and I'll make goddamn sure of it. I lower my hood while he's gone, allowing myself just a little freedom to move. I'm tempted to remove my mask, but it doesn't feel like the right time. I can't show Cirrus more of my face. My head is still swimming as more questions continue to pop up, one after the other. I doubt that all followers of the lunar god engage in this kind of behavior, unless the underground is a fair bit kinkier than I anticipated. Actually, not very surprising. But that still begs the question of why Cirrus is having me undergo this. Personal satisfaction, a genuine desire to follow some obscure commandments, questionable morals. Before I can come to any kind of conclusion, he's back with a tray carrying a pitcher of fresh water and what looks like chocolate? Correct. He hands me a little tray, and I inspect the contents. This better not be spiked again. It won't be unless you give me a reason to, little star. I'm not sure if he's joking or not. Reassuring. I take a swig of water, letting it soothe the back of my throat before I reach for the square of chocolate. It's dark with an uneven surface. When I bite into it, I'm surprised by the hint of lavender and Earl Grey that melts in my mouth. Little grains are spread throughout the chocolate, and with each bite they release a burst of flavor. Volunteers sometimes come help with food, and on the good days there's leftovers. I'll get used to this. We sit in silence for a while until I set the platter aside and shuffle into a better position against the headboard. How is your back feeling? It's okay. No thanks to you, of course. I'm having a hard time gauging his reaction. Then his lips tug into another, calmer smile. It's my duty to make sure you're all right. That being said, I have a question for you. Do you need any more aftercare, cryptid? I'll do these in the good endings, but I'm just gonna say I'm fine for now. Before I forget, my star, I've got some news regarding the notes. This makes me sit up straighter in attention. Really? Indeed, I'll be sending out someone tomorrow, and if all goes well, they'll be back with positive news. Can't we just go there ourselves? Cirrus purses his lips, taking the time to think. I suppose I can't stop you. We could go now if you'd like. I feel a surge of energy shoot straight through me as I leap out of bed, then readjust my hood. I've never felt more ready. Let's go. He chuckles. Something bad's going to happen. Eager. I dismiss the comment and make my way towards the door that has since been unlocked. When the night air hits my face outside the church, I find myself completely relieved. I never realized how suffocating that small room was, even in comparison to a literal cave. Cirrus guides me in silence through a long series of winding maze-like passages, through progressively more and more obscure stalls. We eventually find ourselves in front of a row of small, decrepit homes, one of which is barely standing. The door is broken down and the walls are crumbling. But that is the one he leads me towards. Then I see it. The desk, with the stack of documents, almost as though waiting for us. What I don't see is the thin little line of magic running across the floor, barely shimmering amidst the dust. Whoop! Well, by the time my foot passes through it, the floorboards spread apart with a sharp crack, and suddenly blades shoot up from the gap and into my flesh. Oh, I can't even make a sound, not when my entire body is impaled and falling apart, landing on the floor with a sickening squelch. He brought us here on purpose, I swear. I feel strangely full. The sharp edges cut like butter through my organs, muscles, and skin, leaving me to bathe in a horrifying, unceremonious puddle of my own bodily juices. The life drains out of me, and I barely manage to hear Cirrus sighing before my consciousness shuts down, never to come back. You bastard! I'll have to thank them for setting this up. He fell right into it. Cirrus makes his way over to the remains of Cryptid and kneels down, petting his head. You're okay now. You don't have to suffer anymore. Even better. He is horrible. None of the other love interests have been like this. Now I won't have to listen to that little mouth going off. Worst end, he put you out of your misery. Okay, let's get the last two endings. There are some routes that I can do that will give some extra stuff if I say no to praying with him, but in general, I'm probably not going to get all of them because I have a feeling that most of it's just alternate dialogue. Every single one of these videos has been almost 3 hours, so I don't think y'all want to sit through that. So definitely play this game if you want to see every bit of alternate dialogue or whatever. Alright, so we are going to work towards getting the last two endings in his route. Like I said, I'm not going to be getting the alternate dialogues that he probably has for certain combinations of choices. Anyhow, we've just met him. We are not divulging information about ourselves. Well, I understand your caution. This is by no means a safe environment. But if it's of any comfort, my star, I am bound to the lunar scriptures. It's my job to ensure the visitors here feel safe and cared for. I feel neither, thank you. I've seen what you're capable of, but all right. The words roll off his tongue with practiced ease. I like the way he calls me his star. I know that's what you call everyone, but being called a star does make one feel a little special. My answer makes him pause for a bit. You are special. Everyone is in their own way. If everyone is special, then that kind of defeats the purpose of the sentiment, doesn't it? I'm mouthing off for the sake of it at this point, funneling the day's frustrations into banter. Shame he doesn't actually like banter, clearly. But Cirrus doesn't mind. I feel his eyes on me again, with increased intensity. Would you rather I say you're a bit more special than everybody else? His voice is laced with unexpected warmth, teasing me like an old friend would. This time, I can't stop myself from chuckling. I'm not opposed to it. But I think I ought to be heading back soon. Errands won't run themselves. Good luck with that, my star. What can I call you next time we meet? Next time, huh? Cryptid. It suits you. It should. I chose it myself. Thanks. Picked it myself. White the mouthy one, aren't you? It's part of my endless charm. That it is. Alright, I will skip through all of this. So this is our next day, and eventually I'm back at the doors of the lunar church. Something about them beckons me, a deep magnetism that draws me straight through the entrance without a second thought. And he's, with that woman right now, kind of doing a ritual, but not the one with the knife. So I expect to see Cirrus in the same spot as yesterday, but find him further in this time, with an unmasked woman kneeling before him. It takes me a moment to understand what's happening. It's not my place to interrupt whatever ritual may be going on. Cryptid. I didn't notice him approach. Cirrus's tone is warm and comforting, and the smile right under his mask peeks out as usual. Hey, I'm back. Didn't want to disturb you back there. Back there. Oh. He tilts his head, lips stretching into a mysterious smile. Did I make you curious by any chance about the ceremony? Yes. We're going to be very open to his religion and him in general. That's the only way to get better endings. So, yeah. You both seemed so serious. Don't think I've ever seen anything like it. There's a pleased rumble coming from his chest. She was readying herself for something important in her life, and needed some reassurance. So she turned to the lunar god itself and demanded she be fully cleansed. Why? Simply so she may begin that chapter with a clear conscience. More than that I cannot say. Privacy and such. That's fine. Thanks for explaining. Either way, I'm sure you didn't come here just to spy on me and the paintings. His comment makes me smile. I guess you're right, though. I'm in need of advice. Alright, now we're gonna share our need for lunar ichor, and he's going to tell us what we have, and we'll be like, oh my gosh. I'm gonna skip past that to when we pray. I feel him placing his hand on my head to give it a gentle pat, a compassionate gesture. Then the same hand trails down to cup my cheek over the masked surface. The sudden intimacy of the gesture makes me jolt. My star. What if I told you there might be another way? Impossible! I wouldn't be so sure. I can't stop staring at him, waiting for him to elaborate. Cirrus's other hand captures my other cheek, so my head is cradled in his embrace as his voice drops an octave. You're shivering. Time around us seems to come to a standstill. I don't have the cure here, not yet, but I want to help you. Will you let me help you, cryptid? We are going to emphatically say yes. Of course, Cirrus. Hold on. What's the other one do? Am I dreaming? Please. I'll take any help I can get. I'm in disbelief. There has to be a catch here somewhere. I need to know the details. But he's been so kind to me. I have a hard time doubting the validity of his claims. Okay, now we'll get the emphatic yes, I think. Yes. Of course, Cirrus. How can I thank you enough? I need nothing. I am simply performing my duty, and knowing that it may save someone makes it all the more rewarding. I'll need a bit of time. Getting a hold of this substance is no easy feat. Better to try than do nothing at all. Indeed. Something grabs a hold of me. Determination unlike any I've ever felt before. Hope soothing my heart, even if just for a little bit. I can't quite let my guard down fully. It's not as easy as just saying pretty please and then having the ichor appear before us. He chuckles. Unlikely, but if you'd like to offer a prayer, that will always be encouraged. I contemplate the idea. We're gonna say yes, so I think I'd like to. It can't hurt, but I'm not sure how to. I don't know any lunar prayers. Allow me to guide you, my star. I nod. His shadowy mask turns my way, lips set into a neutral line. On your knees. We'll now get protected, and then we also feel pleasure. Let's see what protected says first, but we got vulnerable and annoyed the last time. Protected, and this does kind of influence one of our thoughts later. I feel surprisingly safe. It's a comforting feeling knowing that someone is guiding me like this. Though I never felt as though the lunar god was the one I believed in, I feel myself opening up to this being, allowing them to see me for who I really am. For a moment, I feel at peace again. You're almost there. Simply repeat after me, my star. Alright, let's now say pleasure. My gosh, I feel pleasure. We're really going full bore into this one, aren't we? This is strange, but my body flushes at his shift in tone. Being commanded like this makes something deep inside me unfurl. Every subsequent breath I take fills me with warmth, and every next order makes my skin tingle. My mind is so acutely receptive to every word he says. You did excellently, my star. So this is choosing pleasure. I assume it wouldn't be quite like this if we said we just feel protected. But it might. It actually might. He bends down to my level where I gaze up at him, mind still fogged up by the experience. I am so proud of you. No doubt they're honored to have received such a heartfelt prayer. I'm still in a haze. Words don't really want to come out. All I do is listen and subconsciously lean towards Cirrus. When I try to open my mouth to say something, his gloved thumb slips under my mask to push it up ever so slightly, just enough to reveal the lower part of my face, under the nose. Allow me. I would never have allowed anybody to do this to me under any other circumstances. But in this moment, I trust him enough to see this small part of me, and as his finger sweeps over my lower lip, I can barely suppress a whimper. Easy. His smile stretches into a pleased grin. You're going to be all right. When the doors to the church start creaking, his hand wraps around mine to help me up. And as a couple of visitors begin filtering in, the spell is broken, and I snap out of it. My star. Yes, I'm okay now. I shake my head and concentrate on staying upright. My inner clock tells me it's time to head back. And we're gonna run into Francesco. I will cut all of that out until my next big choice with Cirrus or some bit of dialogue. Thank you for today. I'll come back tomorrow so we can start searching. Alright, let's skip ahead. Alright, this is about the prayer. This technically doesn't have anything to do with relationship points, but it does influence an answer that does. So we're gonna say, first of all, I feel guilty for thinking about Cirrus in a sinful way. The weight on my chest is so uncomfortable that I just want to go back and talk it through, even though I just left. He is a man of the cloth. But I allowed my mind to go places it shouldn't have. He wasn't reciprocating, right? So. Either way, I have to come to terms with what happened, and I need to calm down. I don't want it to happen again. It's not right. Something about that was not okay. That loss of control made me feel like a fish out of water, and I don't want to experience it again. Did Cirrus know what he was doing? Was it all on purpose? Either way, we have to come to terms with it. Now we loved it. I loved it. I can't help it. I want it to happen again. Vesper is discovering things about themselves that they never knew. I still feel the pressure on my lips. Obeying him felt easy, natural almost, and the haze that came with it felt as potent as one of the apothecary's pain-killing vials. I don't even think I care that he's a priest. Alright, so we're sneaking to the back of the church, and because we heard shouting, so we are peeking into Cirrus's room, and he's not alone. We're not gonna let it time out, but this one doesn't actually do anything for relationship points, so I can get the other two choices. Or rather, the other choice. I have to do something. It's even safe to interfere. Interfere. Wait. Cirrus. My body moves out into the open before common sense can stop me. Both of them immediately whip around, taken out of their moment, And as the other person raises their knife with trembling hands, I realize I've messed up. Wait, drop it. The clatter of metal on the ground makes me exhale in relief, but not for long. Cirrus steps around the trembling figure, then slowly makes his way towards me. My star. He starts, mouth set into a frown. My first instinct is to step back, fearing the consequences, but my morals are stronger and keep me rooted in place. What is going on here? Why? I don't have the context, but I'm filled with the bitter sting of betrayal nonetheless. How could someone as seemingly kind as him just turn around and take advantage of someone so clearly out of it? Why are you threatening this person? What even... Cryptid. Cirrus's voice turns back to the warm, comforting one I've always heard, but right now I don't know if I trust it. You shouldn't be here, my star. I'm taking care of some sensitive matters. You have to understand. Sensitive matters? Really? You gave him a knife. One that he was going to use on himself. We're gonna skip ahead. I think I should leave. I think you're staying right where you are. When I gaze back up at the priest, he's smiling in a way that gives me chills. Leave for now. We'll continue this later. He dismisses the shivering person without so much as a glance in their direction. They immediately obey and scuttle off. Then the door shuts behind us, and when I ask why Cirrus is locking it, he gives me no answer. When I refuse to look up at him, his fingers grasp my chin with surprising strength and force me to meet his masked gaze. Do you make it a habit of snooping around and eavesdropping like this? Usually I don't have to, but then I heard shouting. You poor thing. His smile twists cruelly. I'm going to teach you some manners. He steps even closer, completely suffocating me with his presence. Have you ever been punished before, my star? What? Punishment? Yes, I'll think of something adequate for a little eavesdropper like you. Now, we are not going to obey again, just to make absolutely certain that I just don't know which of the final choice will give me a point or not. If I chose I loved it, of course, since it is your first infraction, I'll go easy on you. But penance is of utmost importance down here, and I think you'd best keep that soul of yours unblemished. I feel something inside me shiver at the thought. His words sound like the most delicious promise, one that I'm all too happy to fulfill. Yes, I'm hush, little star. As much as I enjoy the sound of your voice, you really do talk too much. I'm aware the situation may have you a little on edge, but I need you to trust that this is for your own good. But the more I think about it, the less I understand. Please, what do you have there? I try my hardest to keep my voice neutral as I ask. Raise your mask and open your mouth. We are not going to obey. No freaking way. Alright, now we are going to be flogged. What the frick is this? Easy there, easy. Do it ourselves, and I'm gonna skip through this. Well, mostly. I want to obey. It's what feels best. And if that means going through with some questionable things and suffering physical pain, I want it. I want it all. I'll do it. Please allow me. I think my answer semi-stunned him into silence. At least until the grin returns to his face full force. He's blushing now. You're such a lovely little one, aren't you? And we pass out. Now let's see what happens in the end. I decide not to respond. Your body is betraying you. Open your eyes, cryptid. And I will skip through the aftercare again. After all, I now know for certain what kind of person Cirrus is. We'll just say the structure of the ritual was comforting. I felt pain, of course, but the whole process was comforting. He was the one taking care of all decisions. I didn't need to worry about any of that. I can just focus on what I need to do and let him work out the complicated details. And for now, I think that's okay. I just wish I understood why he cares so much. Before I can come to any kind of conclusion, he's back with a tray, carrying a pitcher of fresh water and what looks like chocolate. All right. That being said, I have another question for you. Do you need any more aftercare, cryptid? I want a hug. I think I deserve one. Silence follows, but surprisingly, Cirrus complies and seats himself at the edge of the mattress. When I reach my arms out for him, he reciprocates, and I find myself leaning in, resting my forehead against his shoulder, while his gloved hand rubs soothing circles across my back. The scent of cotton seems to come from him, a surprisingly gentle one, mingling with the incense and candle smoke that I've now grown so accustomed to. It's a strange feeling being physically so close to someone you're not entirely sure you trust. But as we share bodily heat and I feel the hard planes of his body against mine, I find myself lowering my guard. Eventually our heartbeats match. All throughout our embrace, I never turn to look at him. I don't know what would happen if I did. We stay like this for a while. Didn't think you were one for hugs. People need physical touch. It's essential to our well-being. I don't think there's any shame in indulging that. He sure loves his roundabout answers. After a few more seconds, I let go. Do you need anything else? I'm gonna just say I'm fine. Before I forget, my star, I've got some news regarding the notes. This makes me sit up straighter in attention. Really? Indeed, I'll be sending out someone tomorrow, and if all goes well, they'll be back with positive news. Can't we just go there ourselves? I'm not sure that's a good idea. Why? I think you should head home for the day. His words leave me confused. Why did his mood suddenly change? At least we didn't die. Maybe I should. His curt demeanor kind of stings, though I'm unsure if it's because he's withholding information or because he's kicking me out. While I get up and ensure I have all my belongings on me, Cirrus waits in tense silence. But I want answers. So when are you going to be honest with me? His lips pull into a thin line, clearly not in the mood for questions. I have not been honest with me whatsoever, Cirrus. I'm trusting you with my life here, but you can't even be asked to give me a straight answer. Irritation starts to fuel my words. No, instead of that, you're just pulling me along whatever way you like without any consideration. Just when I'm about to say more, he turns towards me completely, with all trace of annoyance vanished. You're not ready for the honest truth. His words feel like a slap across the face. What? There's so much more at play here than you realize, Cryptid, and you know nothing of it. Someone who's been here for so little time couldn't possibly hope to understand yet. My mind is racing. There's so many words I want to hurl back at him, but none of them come out. Instead, I take a deep breath. You're full of shit. Go home. We'll talk once you've calmed down. He unlocks the door for me, and I don't waste a second before storming out. I'm tired. A part of me wants to run and never see him again, thinking maybe it'll be easier on my own. But I'm stubborn, and I'll do everything to get what I want. Eventually, Cirrus will understand that. Neutral end. You won't give up. It could be worse. We could die. Or be sold to a brothel. Anyhow, let's go get the best end. I am still gonna skip most of the, I'm still gonna skip a lot of the aftercare just because it's gonna be a lot of dialogue, and I don't want this to be too long, so I recommend playing this for yourself if you want to see it. Alright, obey. I hardly understand myself right now. I may as well have asked one of the thieves to watch over my purse. But something tells me Cirrus doesn't want to kill me. No, not in this ending. No, if he did, he would have done so earlier. Maybe. His intentions, although I failed to understand them, are not evil. They are misguided. So I undo the clasps of my mask, then tilt my head back, lips parted. Perfect. So very perfect. Such an obedient little thing. He approaches, and then the first trickle of liquid hits my tongue. The nectar is just as thick as the initial smell, but now that it runs over my taste buds, I'm overwhelmed. Okay, something feels off. I promise you it's just temporary. I'm pretty sure that having him do it with the choices I've made will be the right one. Now, the sooner you complete your task, the better. You'll see. It's not too difficult, and the lunar god will be so very pleased with you. Then I suppose I'll have to take matters into my own hands, Can't have my little star ruining his chances. Have Cirrus do it. What if I want you to do it? My own voice surprises me, and I feel my face heat up under the mask. His expression is utterly indecipherable until a strange grin tugs at his lips. Sweet little star. His voice thickens. I didn't take you for a masochist. You never asked. I'm screaming inside, because that blush is undoubtedly cute, even though he is absolutely the worst. I'll be sure to reward that honesty plenty. He handles the flogger with an experienced grip, and it doesn't take a genius to see that he's done this plenty before. All I can do is stare at the tail swaying around and prepare myself for the impact. We'll start with 10. I close my eyes, but no amount of deep breaths or mental preparation ready me for the impact between my shoulder blades. My vision goes white as mind-shattering pain explodes all over my back. It's unlike anything I've felt before, and it takes everything in me not to scream. The next hit comes sooner than expected, just a few centimeters lower, enough to revive the previous surge of pain. Alongside that, the rice continues to dig further into my knees. This time I scream. Perfect. Suffering for your wrongs and completely letting go. What a wonderful sight. Another 2 hits of the flogger make me choke back sobs. I'm so proud of you. He murmurs a few words in a language I don't understand under his breath, giving me a moment to curl up and brace myself for the next hit. But Cirrus isn't having it. Sit up, cryptid. When I refuse to budge, still trembling with the aftershocks of pain, his fingers hook into the collar of my cloak and tug. They pull up further and further, and before long I'm gasping for air and clawing at his hands. Cirrus. I said, sit up. My struggling only serves to please him further. At this point, I'm desperate for it all to stop. I nod and fight through the sensation until he releases my cloak, after which I fall to my previous position on my knees. Everything aches deeply. There's 6 more to go. I can make it through. I just need a bit longer. But the next hit comes far too soon. I'm screaming again, the force of it resonating in my vocal cords. Each individual tail's flick leaves trails of fire searing across my back. As the flogger traces a figure 8 across my skin, my throat tightens up. Please, God. I feel warm tears dripping down my face. He takes a deep, satisfied breath. That's it. Beg for forgiveness. By the time I receive the final hit, my vision goes blurry and I realize my senses are dulling again. A pleasant numbness washes over me. Darkness quickly engulfs my senses. I'm not conscious long enough to realize that my body has already collapsed to the floor. He's going to wake us up. Do you want some water? And we're going to say yes. He's going to bring us water and chocolate. Sure, it was very enjoyable. I can't believe I'm saying this, but it wasn't bad. No, on the contrary, I felt freed of everything in that moment. I still feel a warm afterglow on my back, and I'm sure that if I saw myself in the mirror, it would be reddened from each hit. I don't know if I'm going to be restricting this or not, but don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if I make the decision to restrict it later, because this is, I mean, it is an 18+ game, it's just not explicit. The idea of having those kinds of marks that almost label me as his, is really nice. I lower my hood while he's gone, allowing myself just a little freedom to move. Hello, thank you for the water and the chocolate. How is your back feeling? It's okay. Actually, it feels kind of nice. It's not painful. I'm having a hard time gauging his reaction. Then his lips tug into another, calmer smile. It's my duty to make sure you're all right. That being said, I have a question for you. Do you need any more aftercare, Cryptid? Huh. I'm gonna do all of these, but you're not gonna see them. Alright, we're fine. Before I forget, my star, I've got some news regarding the notes. That makes me sit up straighter in attention. Can't we just go there ourselves? Cirrus seems apologetic. It's not a very safe place to be. I'd rather you stay here. You understand, right? No. Yes. I'll get all of these just for funsies. No. But yes. I'm glad. Why? Why did that not feel quite right? Something at the back of my mind twists my words, distorting them as they leave my lips. I feel a cold sweat overtaking me even as Cirrus's hands help me out of bed. How long have you had your diagnosis for? 2 months. Alright, Yes? I'm glad. Why? Okay. Okay, we don't feel that's quite right regardless. We've had our diagnosis for 2 months. Then you still have time. His hands brush the wrinkles from my hood and stay there for a while. Yeah, I think so. I'll keep you safe. For the first time, I hear something akin to desperation in his voice, a barely audible tremble. I promise. This time, I choose to believe him. Best end, Cirrus will keep you safe. Okay, so that was a lot. Cirrus's route was quite difficult. It's also one of the, I would say more, it feels more intimate in some ways than the other routes. And it's also, he seems like the least kind out of all the other love interests, which I believe he actually is. Judging by some of the questions the developers have answered on social media, he likes hurting us for the sake of hurting us. And that's just it. He likes that. So it's kind of difficult to deal with him. I will be doing an extra video at some point soon where we get a chance to talk with Vesper, the player character, but I have to go back and get all the good endings. So I think after that update, I got Kira and, of course, Cirrus's. So now I'll have to get Francesco and Oleander, but y'all won't see that. I will, however, record it as an extra video. I also probably cut out going to Kira's hideout when leaving Cirrus. The dialogue in that's funny, but it took like 20 minutes. So for the sake of making the video shorter, I cut that out, but I do recommend checking it out. It is actually quite hilarious when we get caught. And anyhow, I am going to leave this here. I don't know what to think of Cirrus. I really don't. He's, as I've said, the absolute worst. So if you made it this far, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed the hot but terrible, terrible priest. He really is nice to look at though. And if you did like it, please hit that like button. And if you want to see more of me but you haven't yet subscribed, please subscribe. And I hope to see you all next time. Bye!